We're having a special Board of Education meeting for the School District of Waukesha. Sue, will you please verify that the meeting's been properly posted?
Yes, it has.
And will you also call the roll call?
William Baumgart.
Here.
Barbara Brezink.
Here.
Greg Dietz.
Here.
Amanda Roddy.
Here.
Patricia Madden.
Here.
Patrick McCaffrey. Kurt O'Brien.
Here.
Aaron Reinacek. Joseph Como.
Here. Both Karen and Patrick have been excused from this evening. Tonight, we do have two action items that are before us, and both of these items have to deal with financial matters with our district. So I'm going to turn this over to our Chair of the Finance and Facilities Committee, Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are two action items that we're here to address this evening. First one is the approval of the 2016-17 final tax levy. Now that all the components of the revenue cap are known, the district is in a position to finalize the tax levy and budget for 2016-2017. The preliminary levy estimates were presented in July. A public hearing was held in September, and the Finance and Facilities Committee reviewed updated levy projections earlier this month. The final 2016-17 tax levy includes the funding for a fourth community resource officer and is in full compliance with state-imposed revenue limits. The total tax levy is down 1.43%, and the tax rate is down 4.69% from the prior year. A tax levy summary is available on page 4 of the budget book for your review. I move to approve the 2016-17 tax levy for the district in the amount of $79,334,279 for operational purposes, including $2,408,407 for the Capital Expansion Fund, $871,138 for the Debt Service Fund, and $100,000 for the Community Service Fund. I so move.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Madden. Discussion? Darren, would you like to comment at all on the final numbers? We've been working on this for 11 months. We're going to start in on our process for the following year in about a month. And there were a few changes since our last F&F meeting. If you could just review those, that would be appreciated.
A couple of pieces of data were still outstanding last time, but before the state certified our equalization aid, and before we got the participation levels for the voucher program, which is in its second year, saw participation increase from 69 students to 113. So that was a 63% increase from the first year. Still nowhere near what the cap is for the state. Now, that voucher cap will grow by 1% of our total enrollment every year. So we'll have to watch that and the impact it has on the budget. State aid came in better than what we had anticipated, but still lower than last year. And the tax levy, though it numbers are great, got there was the loss of about $1.4 million in revenue when the authority. So to say that it wasn't a great fiscal wizardry or anything is not true. We just have fewer resident students attending. Third Friday to third Friday pupil count, we saw a loss of 82 students. So those are probably the highlights. There is inside the budget packet the list of our key assumptions. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Clark? All right, seeing none, we have a 2016-2017 levy to approve at this time. So will you take the roll call vote, please?
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
And Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 7-0. Sue? Kurt?
The next item is the approval of the 2016-17 budget. The final budget booklet is included in your packet. A fund summary of the budget is on page 3, and the Department of Public Instruction's budget adoption format begins on page 5. I move to approve the 2016-17 budget as presented in the amount of $179,016,395 in total revenues and $181,612,716 in total expenditures, including $20,484,589 in operating transfers for all funds. I so move.
Is there a second to the motion? Second by Ms. Madden. Discussion? I did get an email from Karen Reinacek. She couldn't be here tonight, and she asked that I would at least read something to our fellow board members. And she starts off by saying, "Dear fellow board members, you have heard my opposition of the board's decision to go above revenue limits in order to fund $8 million in maintenance projects that could have been budgeted in our roughly $160 million budget funded by our taxpayer constituents. I understand the current law allows us to make this decision, but in my opinion, that does not make it ethical. Therefore, I believe the law should be appealed. If I were present tonight, my vote would be no to adopt the budget, which is essentially $8 million in excess because we now have to pay the extra money borrowed and spent without taxpayers' consent, which I believe should not have been done in the first place." And again, that was a statement that Karen Reinacek wanted me to read to all of you. Mr. Ryan.
You know, in a way, I wish that we had the situation like some of our town boards do, where the community comes in and approves our budget. But we probably wouldn't get anybody to attend the meetings like we have tonight. We're fairly lightly attended from the community. But if we had the community coming in and approving our budget, then we wouldn't get these so-called questions of ethical conduct and whether the community would approve of what we do. I believe the fact that the community has seen our performance over the years, how we've been able to balance our budget, how we've taken ourselves out of the financial hole that we experienced for many, many years prior to straightening out our health care issues, our pension issues, and our salary schedule issues. I think this is probably one of the most fiscally responsible governing bodies in the state of Wisconsin. And there's no such thing as ethical misconduct from this board.
Ms. Madden.
I think I will go further with a reply to Mrs. Reinacek in that it sounds to me like that's a personal opinion. We're not here to vote our personal opinions. We're here to vote for the taxpayers in the school district of Waukesha. What is good for our school district, our tax base, and our students. I think that is number one, and I think we're doing that.
Okay. Ms. Roddy.
I have a question with regards to that. Obviously, I'm new to this, and this loan, is it, that was approved prior? In discussion from previous meetings, does anybody recall why would this opinion become a question? What is it about this, this money that somebody has this opinion?
Mr. Ryan.
I think anything in the budget we can shift money from anything in the budget that would allow us to even cut taxes. I mean, we could say we're not going to levy to the revenue limit, and we could cut taxes at any single item. It's just that this particular one, because it's a special exemption allowed by the state that allowed us to do these things, has brought the attention of one or two board members. Even though they don't object to the work being done, they don't object to the money being borrowed, they do object to the fact that we're going to add a little bit to the tax base because of it. That objection came late in the game from one of the board members at the time. Not that it's not an improper objection, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But we have this kind of philosophy, and I think it's kind of like everything else we do in governance. Once a matter's settled, it's settled. You can keep bringing it up, but the matter's settled. And the matter was settled a number of times after many months of meetings when we approved this loan. And one past board member, it's a problem, and for some board members that maybe have some sympathies for that position, they're objecting to the budget as it stands with that expenditure and that tax levy associated with it. This is a statewide thing. No legislators have shown any interest in changing the law, from what I understand. It hasn't even been able to make it out of the committee to change it. School districts need money, and they need to keep our facilities up and going and properly maintained. And I'm proud of what this district has accomplished with that money, and I don't mind paying an extra 5 cents on my taxes to do it.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question to that. What things were done with this money, or thus far? What things have been done?
Darren, you want to hit the highlights?
Yeah, boiler replacements, they all had to be energy savings related
Right.
projects, so I can report, maybe I'll send out a summary memo on finance packet next time. I came in right at the end of all the projects, but it was lighting, it was boilers was a significant one. The heat exchanger itself, I'm an engineer, so maybe that's not the proper title. Those are some of the bigger ones that I can.
HVAC was the biggest one. In fact,
I think we did some pneumatic control work.
In fact, the HVAC was a project that we were afraid that we wouldn't have enough funds for. It turned out we made that within our original budget amount, and then if we had money left over, we'd do the lights on the football field. And I have to say, if I live around North High School, I'm pretty pleased with those lights. I was there the other night, and it's the complaints we've had from our neighbors around North have to be completely gone from what I've seen. So those are the scope of all the projects that have been done. And they will help the district control costs going forward, because the savings that we generate now will save year after year, long after we pay off this loan. The loan's scheduled to be paid off in 2 years or 3 years, Darren?
The last loan payment is
So we went with a very fast payback on the loan. We felt that we could do that without having a big impact on taxes. So we will be debt-free, providing we have no more other borrows, in probably 2021, I would say.
And technically, some of it is paid for through Fund 10 through the savings. We have to apply the savings towards the debt payoff. So a portion that were calculated savings do actually come from Fund 10. So, to be fair, some of that is paid for under the cap, the amount of savings that they calculated for
That
us.
is in our report, in the information.
page 30 in the packet, that we have two issues with Fund 38 debt. The top one is related to the energy efficiency program. And you can see it runs a little longer left to right. The sixth column is less used savings, and that's that Fund 10.
That comes out of Fund 10,
I was
yeah.
speaking of. And then what the net is, your total principal and interest minus utility savings, and that's what you end up levying. But those savings will go on beyond 2021. They go on for several years.
Mr. Bryan?
Yeah, and one other significant savings you didn't mention was the significant savings in water consumption. The water consumption savings that we generated from one of the projects was greater than the watering of our football fields that we eliminated when we put in artificial turf, by a significant amount. I mean, and with this community's need to conserve water relative to our compliance with radium, we should have done that years ago as well. There's been some big potential impact out of this expenditure without hurting the education of our kids and without a significant impact on our taxpayers.
Mr. Roddy?
I have one last follow-up, please.
Oh, sure.
So these pieces that have, or these items that have been updated, all of these are energy efficient devices, or,
Yep. And the projects have been completed,
so now it's just a matter of.
so we can't stop in the middle of
Right,
them or
right.
anything
No,
like
I
that.
understand. So all of this, like I said, this was all done prior to me joining here. And because they're energy efficient, is there I don't know how to phrase this, is there a timeline to show, when you can see the benefits of them, or are our energy bills?
We're seeing
On
the
the-
benefits right now.
We're already
Yeah,
seeing
As we
benefits?
speak.
And once, you see on page 30, once that debt
That's-
payoff is done, then those roughly $200,000 accrue to us. I mean, they stay in the budget. We don't have to use them for debt service payment.
So on page 30, these are the projected savings, and those are certified by Siemens.
Okay.
And if we don't meet those numbers, we get the dollars back from Siemens. Is that correct, Aaron?
Correct, there's some guarantees in there. And I think one other, independent party who had no vested interest one way or the other. And we reported out, they came to a F and F meeting 4 or 5 months ago, I forget, and did a PowerPoint. But I was thinking, I just wrote down what I'll do is this Friday's update, I'll stick that PowerPoint presentation in there so you can see.
Yeah. Mr. Urbine?
And actually, they reported that we probably had one of the very best projects in the state. They also gave us some ideas that if we were going to do it again, we could do it better going forward. But they said in terms of how you should use this authority, they thought that we had kind of a model to show the rest of the state with some improvements that could be made. I mean, we probably could have saved some money relative to some of the certifications of Siemens that we paid for that we probably didn't have to pay for. But overall, I think one of the complaints is the payback period that doesn't reflect the replacement cost. So if you're basing payback period only on energy savings, like the legislation calls for, to disclose what your payback would be based on energy savings, some of these projects are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. But it doesn't take into account that you'd have to replace those things anyway. For instance, the light fixtures on the football fields at south, west, and north all require significant expenditure to maintain and keep up every time you change those lights. Plus, it's a safety concern to get people that high up in the air to service those light poles. So it's just that all the savings aren't reflected in the cost recovery calculation. If you just look at energy efficiency alone, it's a long payback, but if you look at the overall replacement cost for these things, that's actually a very good deal for our taxpayers.
Loan was from the state? Is that correct? Who did we
No.
borrow money from? I'm sorry.
Aaron?
I believe we issued notes.
Yeah.
Wasn't through the state.
There's a bond, yeah, a bond issuance.
We have a financial advisor who then takes those and sells those on the market.
It's the same way almost 95 to 98% of borrowing statewide for public schools is done through a bonding exercise. The taxpayers pay over the long term to pay off that note. The faster you pay it off, the less you pay in interest, and the more goes direct to principal. So we're paying it off rapidly, really. We did start out with like a $40 million proposal, and we whittled it down to 8. We did prioritize the list and streamed it down quite a bit.
Yeah, the energy exemption laws, some people agree with them, some people don't. I don't believe this is an ethical issue, in my opinion. We've followed every law to a T in the past. We will continue to follow the laws to a T in the future. So we've been abiding by the law, and from my perspective, it's not an ethical issue at all.
And just to put it in perspective, the debt payoff, the amount we're taxing for, $871,000, is still $300,000 left in the total, less than the total reduction in overall property taxes for this year. So even though we are taxing for this, our total tax levy will still be lowered by over 1.1 million, even with this in place.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we're looking at approving the 2016-2017 budget. Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Barbara Brusink.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye. Passes 6-0, one abstention. Sue? And that actually concludes our action items with respect to our 2016-2017 budget. For our special meeting, we stand adjourned, and we will head into our next work session. Thank you, everybody.